let me, I'm just gonna go through quickly as to how uh, you're gonna face problems and how trading prop firm challenges should just be considered as another step or another business idea and nothing much else, right? If you guys cannot hear me at any point, just let me know. But this is the way I welcome Zaid, right? This is the way I trade my prop firms, how I consider prop firms, right? To trade. And let's just go about it. Physics, if anyone has asked a particular question, just let me know, bro, because I'm not gonna read the chats unless they ask it, right? Uh,
Okay, okay.
okay, first
Okay.
things first, right? You need to always remember to have a 9 to 5 job, right? Now, why, I will explain you why you need to have a 9 to 5 job and how that will immensely help you when it comes to your trading psychology as well, right? Uh, by the way, this call will be recorded, right? So there will be a recording for you guys to watch later on. And if you all don't prefer to be recorded, now is the time to leave the call as well, right? Okay. So I always advise right, to have a 9 to 5 job, because obviously you'll need to go about with life. You will never know when your trading career will kick off and will get settled. And you will always, dedicate some amount of money you're getting from your 9 to 5 job. Let's say, for example, 15%, I know that's quite a lot, or 10% into your trading if you can afford it, when you have a 9 to 5 job. When you don't have a 9 to 5 job, what will happen? You'll take loans, you'll use your credit cards, you'll ask debt, right? You'll use your parents' money, you'll use your friends' money, and that's going to create a bad psychology on you, on your trading career, right? You'll be relying on someone else's money just to be profitable, and that will just create a vicious loop where you will push yourself into taking more and more trades, into pushing yourself into profitability, right? Now, when it comes to having prop firm challenges, right, it's not the same way as you trade your own money, right? Let's say, for example, you I know the others have had this class before, but just for the others who haven't been with me, right? Let's say, for example, you can afford 100,000 a prop firm account, right? If you can afford 100,000, let's that's roughly around 550, right? On sub prop firm, some around 800 USD. So if you can afford a 100K prop firm account, right? Now, all these are in perspective. I know some of you can't afford, but I'm just telling for people who can. If you can afford a 100K prop firm account, my advice is always not to go for the 100K. You need to divide your funds, right? You need to divide your funds into two. This is how I usually do, right? You either divide, usually after a payout, I usually take some amount of the payout just to reinvest into the prop firm challenges, right? So you divide them into two. So one will be 50K and 100K, right? So you will have 50K amount of prop firms over here, and over here you will have another 50K, right? So these ones you need to make sure to divide into high risk and low risk, right? So instead of having 100K account and 250K accounts, what I usually do is, right, if your fund is 100K, right, you need to take 5 10Ks, right? You will have 5 10Ks. That's what usually you need to do. Now this will depend on how your flexibility is, and as you grow your financial capabilities to buy and pass perform challenges, right? Now this video you will learn why I don't consider to get stuck in one challenge for months, right? Now I know some of you might be trading one or two prop firm challenges for 3 months, right? But that's not something I would encourage you guys to do. Okay, so we have that 50K over here, so 5 10Ks over here, and then of course I divide this 50K into two 25Ks, right? Because that's my medium risk account, low risk accounts. So I usually have two 25K accounts. Now this is what you would do if you can afford a 100k account rather than buying 100k or 250ks. Well, the best you could do is 425ks, right? But if you're a beginner, my advice is always for you to go for 5 10ks and then have 225ks for low risk, and then you diversify your trades, right? You need to have low risk trades and high risk or medium risk trades. Of course, you don't take the high risk trades, so you will either play the low risk or the medium risk. So you will take the low risk trades on these challengers and medium risk challengers. So the way I go about prop firm challengers is account rotations. Okay. um Understand one thing very important, right? There's one thing very important. Understand that I don't use a trade copier, be it the several, let's say I have 500k accounts. I don't utilize all the 100k accounts, right? And then use a trade copier to take the same trade um on the accounts, right? Now, the risk reward ratio differs from whether it's a challenge account or whether it's already a funded account, right? Or whether it's in phase one, phase two, or whatever it is. This will depend on what sort of risk to reward ratio you're expecting. For example, if you are trading like a risk to reward ratio, right? If you're having a 5R risk to reward ratio, that's where you would partial. You obviously need to understand the win rate will be less, right? You can expect a win rate roughly about 30 to 45%, right? 30 to 45%, and you only need to be having a win rate of about 20% just to be profitable, right? If you understand mathematics, you'd understand you need to have a win rate of only about 20% to be profitable with a 5R ratio, right? But on the other hand, right, if you, let's say if you have a 2R, right, 2R where you would close your trades, in that sense your win rate will obviously be increased 60 to 70%, and you only need to have at least about 55 about 45 to 55% win rate ratio to be profitable, right? Now, in these two scenarios you cannot have the same risk to reward, right? You cannot be risking the, any questions? Okay, you cannot be risking the same amounts in these two strategies, right? So obviously, if you are a low time frame trader, if you are a high risk to reward trader, right, low win rate trader, lit trader, whatever it is, you would understand your risk would be different, right? But if you're a high time frame trader, you only take one or two trades for the whole week, right? Or one trade for the whole day, then obviously you can't be having the same risk per trade, right? For example, if you are risking, let's say 1%, if you're risking, sorry, if you're risking 0.5% on this strategy, you would obviously need to risk at least 1.5 to 2% on this strategy, because your trade frequency is less. You hitting a TP is the chances of you hitting a TP is high, but your trade frequency is less. Okay, but back to this topic now. So what I usually do is, now for example's sake, I've taken 10k accounts, right? I've taken 10k accounts. What I do is something called account rotation, right? Especially when it comes to phase one and phase two, right? The whole video is about how to get funded quickly. And imagine if you are stuck with one prop firm account. Let's say you just have one 10k account and you've been trading for months, right? You've been trading for months. If you've been trading for months on one prop firm account, and all you do is what, you take your first trade, you risk, let's say 0.5%, right? You hit a TP and then you're up by 2.5%, right? You're up by 2.5%, but then you eventually, right, you take these trades for months, right? Let's say you take these trades for months. For months you've been trading the same prop firm challenge account, going up and about, right? Whether it's a 5% and then you hit back to drawdown again 2%. So wins and losses For example, how many trades would you take before you eventually pass phase 1, right? And then you would eventually take another 4 to 5 trades or even 6 7 trades by risking low to pass phase 2 and then get funded. And imagine you do one wrong, one mistake, right? And you blow your account, right? You don't reach a payout. Now, you can blow your accounts at any point, right? Trust me, for those who haven't blown accounts up to now, it's going to happen. It's going to be inevitable, right? Every every profitable trader has blown some account on its way, on their way to the journey, right? Now, if you haven't blown yet, perfect. That's amazing. Keep doing what you're doing, but you should understand when that day comes that it's not a failure and it's about to happen, right? So what I usually do is, rather than you understand phase 1 target is 8%, right? Phase 1 is 8%, so phase 2 is 5%. So unless if it's on FTMO, it's 10%, right? Okay. So for argument's sake, let's take 8% for now, and phase 2 is 5%, right? Now, these are the 5 challenge accounts you're going to start trading with. What's your risk to reward usually going to be? What my risk to reward will be, right, is trying to pass the challenges quickly and get funded quickly, right? So that's why we diversified rather than buying one challenge account, to make sure to have 5 challenge accounts to increase the odds, right? At least two of these, right? If you can get 2 of these funded and one to reach out a payout, you will get back all what you invested on these 5 accounts, right? That's the goal. And you don't need to be waiting for 2 months to for trading, 2 months just trading one account to either blow or pass or TP, right? That's why you always need to have this 95 a soft cushion, right? So what I usually do, right? What I usually do and what we usually do is me off the border, right? Yeah. So we will have high probable trades, but my risk to reward per trade, right? In evaluation phase, keep in mind this is not the funded stage, this is just the evaluation phase, right? My risk to reward, my risk per trade, right? At least would be 1.5, right? 1.5 to 2%. Now, this is quite high, I understand, right? This is quite high when it comes to low risk to reward strategy account, right? Any questions up to now? Am I making any sense or am I confusing? I hope not, right? Okay.
No, no question.
All right, perfect. So my risk to reward per trade is 1.5 to 2%. Now, I know this is very aggressive, right? Because, of course, if your daily drawdown is minus 5% and your total drawdown is 10%, this is going to affect. But I don't want to be risking 0.5% per trade for a passing a prop firm challenge, and then what? Taking these trades, eventually reaching 2.5%, then getting 2% again, then again 2.5%, several trades, right? Just to finally, after several trades, to hit that 8% and pass that phase 1, eventually to blow that phase 1 later on, right? That's gonna create a lot of bad things on your psychology, right? The only thing you need to understand is consider a prop firm challenge as just a sort of an investment into your business. And what I usually do is risk about 2% or 1.52%. So what's your target gonna be? Your target will be a 4, right? So you will patiently wait for the best setup. You will patiently wait for the best setup to hit a 4-hour target by risking 2.2%, right? By risking 2% just to pass your phase 1, which is 8%. So this is when account rotation is important. Keep focusing, guys, right? Keep focusing. I think you guys get what I'm trying to say now. This is when account rotation is important. Yeah. Any question?
Bro, yeah. I'll be off short now. I'm going to pray. So,
Okay, sure. Take care, man. All right. Okay.
okay.
Oh, we've got Castle Mania after a long time. Hey, what's up, bro? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. All right. So, what do I mean by account rotation is, if you consider prop firm challenges as it is, right? So, my first challenge, let's say my first trade would be -2%, right? I'm not talking about wins here. I'm just gonna simply say how and why account rotation is important rather than investing on 100k account. 250k you divide and then you do this. So -2%. Second trade -2% as well. Third trade, right? Third trade -2% as well, right? Three trades in a row, that's fine. But at least if you have a 25% win rate, you're about to get that win next time, right? So the next trade, what are you gonna do? If it's a 4 hour, you're gonna pass that, right? 8%. So you hitting 8% would mean you have passed that phase one. Okay. So rather than you trading the whole month to pass one challenge account, you have -2, -2, -2, and 8% over here, right? So let's say you give -2 again here. This one is now phase two, right? You need to understand that this account is now phase two. Okay. This account is now phase two, right? You have passed phase one and this is phase two, but these are all in drawdowns. And you keep rotating your accounts. You take your A plus or B plus, whatever the setups, low risk setups, but your risk will be the same. But aggressive trade management, and you need to be less emotional to sticking into an account. If you don't end up, if you don't blow an account, if you don't consider prop firm challenges to be a business thing, then there's no point, right? So my second trading cycle, whether it's the next week or whether it's the next day, right, depending on your trading, you'll start trading again. So let's say you lost again here, you lost again here, right? You lost again here, and right, you lost again here, and then you lost again here. But next one you win, right? So next one you win, same as here, right? Sorry about that. Same as here. So understand here when you win now, right? That's 8%, right? That's plus 8%. So now plus 8%, which would mean equals 6%, right? Okay. So all these are -4, -4, -4. Have you hit your daily drawdown yet, or have you hit your total drawdown yet? No, that's fine. And this is in plus. This is -2% on your phase two stage, right? And this is plus 6%. And you will continue doing this. That's the whole point. You will continue doing this, right? And the next trade, again, let's say you'll face the same thing again, and then you get -2%, and you have another win here, which is plus 8%, right? And what happens here now, right? Plus 8% would mean you are net plus 4%, right? I hope I'm making sense, guys, right? I hope you understand why sticking into one challenge account and why relying on it is useless if you have a proven profitable trading strategy. That's all I'm saying. If you don't have one and you're just gambling, then of course it won't work. But if you have a proven trading strategy, this is the best way to do about it. So you have a win here and you have another loss here, right? Sorry. So you have another loss here. It's about odds, and you have another loss here. So we are -4% on our phase two here, right? -4% on our phase two here. And then finally, we get another win over here, right? So here, now we have plus 6%. Are we going to risk 2%? No, because we only need to pass our phase two. You will obviously risk something way less, something like 0.5% risk, right? Something like 0.5% risk just to get your phase one pass, right? Because 4 hour, 0.5% would mean you only need 2% and you would pass this one as well, right? Okay. Um, any questions, guys? Am I making sense as to why I think this would be a good strategy, and this is how I trade, right? Eventually, right, eventually what would happen, you would when you continue doing this, right? When you continue doing this, the odds would be on your favor, right? You would eventually blow up one account. Let's say you blew this account at the end, right? You blew this account at the end, and you get this one to pass phase one, and this one you only need another win here, and let's say you won here, and then this will be plus 8%, and then you will pass this one as well, right? So this will be eventually a funded account because yeah, plus 8 plus 4, then you need 1%, and then this will end up being a funded account as well. So what I'm trying to say is you just need to continue this, diversify your trades, and eventually out of 5 accounts, if you can get 2 funders and reach 1 into a payout, that's all you need.